the fervor around the Marvels continues. People are still very angry about this. Stephen King himself has gotten involved in this discussion, and they have roped in other YouTubers like Nerdrotic, like Yellow Flash, even a certain Tim Pool got brought up in one of these articles. But Stephen King himself, he beclowns himself by white knighting for the Marvels.
He said, I don't go to MCU movies, don't care for them, but I find this barely masked gloating over the low box office for the Marvels very unpleasant. Why gloat over failure? Some of the rejection of the Marvels may be adolescent fanboy hate. You know, yuck, girls.
And he's like, what it is they take the lowest common denominator excuse for something like this, and then try to basically straw man everyone's arguments and make it seem like they don't they're not actually arguing in good faith. What I bother with, so it's like when they complain, like when Stephen King complains about Donald Trump or about something he doesn't like, they're giving you a smart, articulate take that's coming from an honest place. But when you, the person who disagrees with him, is arguing with someone, he's saying that what you're doing is being you're either just trolling or you just don't like girls.
You know what? I plead guilty. I didn't want to watch a Wham-In Marvels movie.
But it's
you got me.
Like, why would you, like, it's also kind of speaks to this, like, thing that we have to have an opinion on everything now. If it doesn't involve him, he even admits himself in other articles that he doesn't watch these movies. Why does he feel the need to speak on something that he has he doesn't have a bone?
Because Stephen King is an ideologue.
Yeah. But
I'm surprised that he has a verification check, by the way. Because I assume that he hates Elon Musk, but he's paying him.
Yeah. So it's like, so not liking Marvel is one thing, but then being like, just hating on the people who don't like it just seems like engagement farming to me these days. Like for somebody like him, like it's just an easy way to engagement farm. I don't know why he'd need to do that. Stephen King has made plenty of money in his lifetime.
Is he as wealthy as J.K. Rowling? Or
that's an interesting question. Like based on name recognition alone, I would say that he hasn't had a series that's as successful as her, but it's not like his name is any less well known than her name is. Yeah. Like Stephen King is a pretty synonymous name with horror.
I guess his stuff can't be sold to kids.
Yes.
So.
But it's also, it's like when you do that, when you belittle somebody else's critique, it weakens your own argument because you're not willing to argue on the merits of the project. And if you haven't even seen the project they're talking about, how can you even have like a thought on it at all?
I think that if Stephen King actually went through the effort of watching the Marvels, he would agree with us.
I mean, I don't think he'd ever admit it publicly.
No.
But also, like I said, a bunch of other YouTubers have kind of been targeted by YouTube and people on Twitter that are attempting to get them censored because they don't agree with their opinions on this movie. And again, I laugh at the weird cultural decline we're in now, where this is the battleground for people, where somehow the end-all be-all of all things is like a popcorn film from like a major corporation here in the West. But it says numerous YouTubers, including Nerdrotic, Yellow Flash, The Critical Drinker, Jesse Grant, were all targeted by social media users wanting them removed for YouTube because their opinions on the Marvels, which are what they classify as hateful videos.
So it looks like some Marvel shill with Brie Larson in profile picture posted the top results for the Marvels reviews, and they're mostly negative. And Team YouTube replied to them saying you can remove recommended videos on your homepage by selecting not interested. This will influence how YouTube suggests videos to you in the future. And then they said, we definitely want our community to help flag inappropriate content to ensure YouTube is a safe place for everyone, especially Brie Larson. If you come across something that violates YouTube policies, report it with the following steps.
Mary might have added the especially Brie Larson part in there. Just maybe. But this goes to what they're always talking about. Look, when it's hate speech, when it's what they consider to be hate speech, it's a problem and needs to be removed. When it's something you or I don't like, we're just adult enough to just not listen to it, not watch it, or disagree with it openly. But they don't want that. They want to be able to control what everyone sees and hears. Mm-hmm. These types of comments.
It's also just so lame because I mean, like, people have every right to like dunk on art that they dislike. It's not that like they're like disparaging one particular person or like slandering someone. It's like, this is art that's been put out there for everyone to see, and if the reviews are mainly negative, then that maybe is saying something about the art itself, you know? Like,
one of the problems I have with it is like they love to elevate their art to the level of poetry without admitting that what you're creating is really just a for-profit product that's being made by a company, and it's a little bit different. You don't get to put this out there for millions of people to watch, reap the benefits of that by making a ton of money, but then only get to hear the stuff you want to hear back to you. And it also annoys them because as much as they always yammer on about the idea of democracy, this is actual true democracy, meaning that the people whose videos do well, the people who find an audience that resonates with the material they make, their videos get recommended more than others, because when a video does well, it will find its way to the recommended page faster and more frequently. So it's actually like a sign of the public latching on to what they say and agreeing with them. And people don't like that because they want to be able to control how the public sees and hears things. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of that.
Forbes published an article called "The Marvels Faces Anti-Woke Backlash After Box Office Flop," echoing Captain Marvel attacks. You can't attack a fictional character.
Nope. Also, it's weird because now I wonder when these things are going to come up. It kind of came up during Indiana Jones. It comes up in some of these movies, but you never know what are going to end up being these cultural problems for people, and they end up taking on a life of their own in a lot of ways. Like, you wouldn't expect them to blow up. It's not like there's more attention being paid to this film on the internet than there is in the actual box office, and it just proves that women didn't come out to watch this movie. Women came out to watch Barbie because women wanted to watch Barbie. Did you see Barbie?
I did.
What'd you think?
Mixed feelings.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. What did you like about it?
I loved how much they leaned into it. I thought the set was awesome. I thought that everyone looked fantastic. I saw like a lot of different think pieces on it, which is funny because I don't think it was meant to be like that deep of a movie, but there were like people coming out from like the deeper, like conservative, like more like I read a piece in like the American Conservative about it, and it was like a really serious piece, and it was good, but I was just like, wow, like everyone is writing about this movie, which I think goes to show how kind of like starved we are for just like normal good art in general, where everyone is writing about Barbie. It was a bit much. Anyway, I thought, because Greta Gerwig is interesting to me because, not to go on a whole tangent here, but she's like got a Christian upbringing, and she definitely likes her Christian themes, and you know, she definitely saturates her movie with them, but I'm not sure I agree with all the conclusions that she comes to. And I thought that the end was kind of sloppy, where they do the whole montage of like, life is beautiful and you get old and there's emotions involved and it's tough, and you know, you'll feel the highs and the lows, but that's what's so beautiful about it. Like, I kind of like love that part of it, but then it seems like she doesn't do a good enough job of really like drawing that theme out in like a sophisticated way throughout the movie, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like they just kind of like try to slap it on.
The third act was definitely a bit rushed towards the end.
And poor Ken.
Yes, everyone knows
poor
that Ken. Even though I think he got nominated for a Grammy for
his
the
song.
Got nominated for a Grammy.
That was an amazing scene, and I Ryan Gosling was perfectly cast for that. But again, like, I mean, the woman empowerment doesn't have to come at the expense of the man being like, oh, go shoe and find yourself. Like, no, like, men and women are meant to be together. It's beautiful when they couple up and they like, you know, have a life together. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like we go our separate ways and find ourselves. Like, we can grow together. Like, I don't like that part of it either. So I thought there was a lot of salvageable things in that movie, but as a whole, I mean, it's fun. I enjoyed watching it. It was like it was definitely a highlight of my summer to go see it with a friend. But like,
it was an objectively better movie than the Marvels.
Even though I didn't like Barbie, it was a better movie than the Marvels. So
and these articles are not reflecting what the criticisms of the Marvels were.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like when you read these criticisms that these people have, like what a Stephen King is saying of the people critiquing it, they're not being fair to the people who are listing real problems that these movies have.
Forbes said the movie has been targeted by right-wing critics who accuse the female-led film, which stars multiple women of color, of being woke. I didn't think that the main criticism was that it's woke. It's that it's lazy.
It was just a bad movie.
And then it was just a bad movie.
It didn't have any like it had what I consider to be the cringe all the women get along all the time thing, which isn't real life, because in life threatening situations in the real world, conflict is more realistic than everyone just suddenly getting along all the time.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was
well,
just
the black girl magic line was very on the nose, but they always sprinkle in one or two
and
things
I already
like
forgot
that.
about that. Like that line didn't bother me the
That
same
was
way
not the main
that's-
criticism.
Yeah. No, it was just poorly constructed and poorly done. But this person says there's literally, this is more to do with YouTube taking these reports from people who are criticizing them. So it says there's literally a video that has racist language. I'm sure it's been reported, but y'all do nothing about it.
What racist language?
This was for the Blue Nerdrotics video about Blue Beetle. When a video is reported, it won't automatically be taken down. Once we've confirmed it's violated our guidelines, we'll act on it. Also, if you've already flagged the videos, you can share its URL so it can be passed along for another review. If it passed one review, what is that basically saying, that it needs another review so that somebody else who's going to have a less charitable take will then finally be the one to take it down? Mm-hmm. Like, just keep reporting it until finally one of the
it's
people...
up to whatever moderator is working from home that day.
And everyone knows that these systems can absolutely be abused. Copyright systems get abused. Reporting systems get abused all the time. It's not uncommon. And it sucks because it really is just as easy to just not look at it.
Oh, here's what Tim Pool said. Get woke, go broke.
Wow. That was his big takeaway.
Earth-shattering.
Earth-shattering. I don't know. It's like it's
a
just
novel phrase. Never heard it.
It's one of the reasons why I get annoyed, because when we do these reviews, I want to go into, because if anything, I get kind of labeled as somebody who's too giving towards Hollywood still. Like, I'm still willing to be lied to by Hollywood. I'm still willing to give them a chance when I go to the movies. If I'm let down 99 times out of 100, I made a post the other day. I reposted the end of Top Gun Maverick, and I said, this is why I don't give up on Hollywood. When they get it wrong 99% of the time, that sucks. But when they get it right, they get it really, really right. And I don't have a problem with that. So I take issue with the idea that when I go in to review this movie, I'm just going into it to hate it. I'm not. I'm going into any movie we review hoping to be pleasantly surprised. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have biases that creep in, right? That happens. But it's an unfair characterization of the review process or of how you interpret art to say that you're just doing it because you're dunking. It's like somebody saying Republican talking points. I'm like, bro, I never was, never have been, and never will be a Republican. So miss me with that nonsense. Like, just no. It's stupid, but these are now, this and Rotten Tomatoes have somehow been some part of battleground we're on now, which makes me think more and more that we live in absurd times, just like Noah Schnapp holding a sticker that says Zionism is sexy. What freaking planet am I living on in the year 2023?
It's meant to make you feel insane.
It feels that way. It really does.
It's intentional.
It really does.
I like your point about like the talking points. Like, I'm going to a movie with my talking points ready to go. It's like these people who are writing these articles are doing the exact same thing that they're like accusing the people that they're writing about of doing. Like they're like, these articles are pre-written. Yeah. Like they're just like filtering
Chat
it for like
GPT.
right-winger slams woke movie as woke. It's like, no, like you had that like pre-written. It's just like a lens that you were basically filtering everything through now, and it's so boring and everyone sees right through it.
Yeah, and that's the world we live in. But I think a lot of that is because of the digital age, and everybody's like I wonder if you could have these same discussions with people in person and have a more cordial discussion.
I think I 100%. I think like sometimes like even like you guys might have had this experience, like you see how someone behaves online and you've met them in person, you're like, that person is so nice and so pleasant and agreeable in person, and I look at their persona online, it's like, whoa, like
it's not the same person.
Or someone acts totally different on camera.
Yeah. So
it's also like the internet as a whole, especially video internet like this, or something like Twitter, it's a deconstructionist tool, meaning that everything you read when somebody says something, you're going to give it the least charitable interpretation you could possibly give it, depending on how you feel about that person. So what you're saying is... Essentially what they're saying is like, be wary anytime somebody uses those phrases when they're critiquing someone directly, because they're trying to boil down their argument to a straw man that isn't necessarily fair to what they're actually trying to say. And like I said, like, the problem is this type of discussion doesn't do as well as sensationalist language and hit pieces. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.